All right, so first things first, we're going to start off with my old journal from last year. I actually had some extra pages, so I ended up using it to kind of plan for 2025. I feel like this is so much more helpful for me because it gives me an idea of like where I'm going. I was able to plan the different types of themes I wanted, colors, and all of the things I wanted my intro to have, along with the rest of the pages that I wanted to include in my journal and how many pages it's going to take to get there. I also wanted to make sure that I planned everything accordingly because that way I knew how many pages I was going to use for everything. In addition to that, I also included all of the different layouts that I wanted. For the most part, I'm keeping it the same. I really liked how my current layout, like the last 3 months, looked like, including October. It just all looked so organized, and keeping it kind of uniform for each month, with the exception of, all the different designs and colors, really made it a lot more easier for my brain to understand what was happening every month. So I decided to kind of just like stick to this layout. As you can see, I'm not clearly done with December yet, so you will see my flip through of my 2024 journal, and this will be filled out by that point. As I am doing this voiceover right now, it is already filled out, and I will be filming that as soon as I'm done editing this video. But anyways, I loved how all three of those months looked like. I think I had other months within the year that also followed this format. That's where I got it from, but I really liked how those last three came out. But anyways, back to the planning page. So the other thing that I also focused on, other than that layout, was the layout I wanted for each each book to have. And currently I have 1 page per book, but I was thinking maybe I would have 2 pages per book, because I felt like if I'm doing 100 books this year, that's actually my goal. I wanted to make sure that it will all fit, because currently I only had 76 for this year, 75, but I ended up reading 76, and using a full page really looked really good for that, but I don't know if I'm gonna need all of that space. So I think I'm gonna still do it that way, because I loved how it came out, and I loved having space for the synopsis, for my thoughts, for quotes, for all of that. So I am gonna keep it that way. I decided that that was probably the best route for me, and I'll worry about the space later. Hopefully it doesn't mess up. But anyways, that's the plan. That's what we're gonna do. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. So first things first, let us turn on our candle, set the mood. A new journal has entered the chat. This is the Archer and Olive Cabinet and Curiosities from 2024 book. I am so excited for this journal. I think it's like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Archer and Olive always go above and beyond with all of their journals. They just keep evolving and evolving and evolving. And the good thing too is that they do it on the outside while keeping like the quality of what's inside, because that's what really works. So you can kind of guess that I obviously stuck with the B5 notebook. I feel like this size is perfect for me. I feel like it just looks so good. And honestly, I am so excited to just continue on using these journals. I have a huge collection, so it was a little tough to make the decision, but when I saw this one, like you're about to see right now, you'll understand why I made this decision. She is just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. You can kind of see the color a little bit down there as well. I'll just kind of rip the band-aid off and show you really quick. Yeah. Isn't she beautiful? I'm sure you've seen her around in other places. I haven't yet seen anyone use the B5 version of it. I've seen the square and I've seen the A5, but this is the B5, and like I said, she is the one. She is beautiful. Look at that spine. I think this is the very first reading journal that I have that has gold foiling on the spine, or like any kind of decoration on the spine. So I'm just so excited to have her. I absolutely love her. I can't stop looking at her sometimes. Even the back has a design, which is beautiful. Like I said, I'm sticking with this B5 size. I think it's perfect for me, and I might even stick to it moving forward. I know that I started with the square journal and then moved on to this one. This will be my second B5, so maybe after that I might change my mind, but for right now I absolutely love it. But anyway, let me kind of show you the journal a little bit, The very front, like you can see, has gold foiling, and it also has this cute little bee in the front as well. It's all like super well indented. You can kind of see like the foiling, you can see the shine. And like I said, there's this cute little bee in the front. I feel like this bee is just like everything, honestly. And the locks on the side as well. It gives me Starless Sea vibes. If you've ever read it, I might actually reread it because I have this book or this journal. And the texture is also like the soft leather. It complements really well all of the designs. You can kind of see how like the gold foiling is indented into the soft leather as well, and it's just like so soft and beautiful. I think that this is one of the masterpieces they like have ever created, and I just worry that I might dirty it a little bit, but like I said, I have a plan for that. So let's open her up. I really appreciate the foiled page on the side. Usually Archer and Olive, like their first journals, didn't have any decoration on the left hand side, so I really appreciate that they have innovated that and had made it, you know, something worth having in the journal as well. I also really like their bookmarks. It always has like this little cute and symbol, which I think is perfect for Archer and Olive. It's just such a cute little detail, and I love having the bookmarks in there as well. Side by side with my 2024 reading journal, I think they look so good together, kind of like a similar like vibe a little bit. I wish there was like a little bit of foiling on the spine for the other one, but that's okay. I also wish that the new journal had a little bit of more of like the gilded pages that the other one has, but maybe in like gold to kind of match the front of the journal, something like that maybe. I also noticed thickness will probably most definitely change as I go through the journal. And yeah, that's basically what they look like. I'm excited. Let's go back to my planning page so we can kind of reference it. I'm gonna keep it on the side so that I can have it kind of just like referencing everything as we go through it. And yeah, let's get started with the planning. Before I continue, I did want to show you my new addition to this year's reading journal as well. This is a decorative spine journal cover. It's also from Archer and Olive, as you can tell, and it's basically for protecting your journal while you're using it. Since my journal currently, the one that I'm going to be using for 2025, is fairly light. It's like a teal, like a light teal color, not like the black I had the year before. I worry that, you know, maybe with my stamps or something, it might like get some of the color on it. So I figured let me just try it out and see if I like it. It is a very thin plastic, but not too thin. It's very durable, and it has like this little button you can open instead of the flap. You can see the flap from the inside as well. Close it right back as well. It's fairly easy to use, honestly, and it might have an indentation on the cover right now, but it will go away as time goes by. It has this little like cute little like girl in the front, so I know that I got it around the time when Bridgerton first came out, or the third season came out of Bridgerton. And like I said, you can open it up. I usually put the little flap underneath so it doesn't get in the way as I am going through it, and I also put the band in the back. So yeah, I absolutely love it so far. Enjoying that. Okay, so getting started with my name page. This is just basically a book sticker book that I got from Wrong Wrong on Amazon. I really love all of her supplies. This one was especially perfect because the vibe really matched what I was going for. It has like a muted color, vintage, dark academia type of vibe, but also like super cute in terms of just like a girl. There's many different types of girls within it, and I think that that's exactly what I wanted to go for this year. I'm gonna be using like this sticker full page just to kind of give it like the look that I want. And for the most part, the voiceover, I'm just gonna try to like shut up so that you can kind of just see what I'm doing. I feel like it's very self-explanatory. First page, I just really want to get the vibes going, and I want to decorate it so that it looks kind of like what you'll expect to see throughout the rest of the journal. So this is the final result of my name page. I think it came out really good. It's exactly kind of what I wanted. I wanted like that text, a lot of different textures as well. It has like that muted kind of dark academia, but not so much, more like museum vibe going, which I really don't mind. I think that that's kind of like a light academia, which is kind of like what I was going for in my themes, and it matches really well with the side page as well. The next page is obviously like this annoying page that's not really, you know, I don't know. It's just so stuck together with the first page that it's super uncomfortable to use. So I just use my double stick tape to kind of stick it to the first page and have that first page be like a little bit more thicker than the rest of them. My next page, I am going to focus on my cover. This is going to basically say reading journal, and it's also going to have like what my ratings are. If you've seen my other reading journals in the past, you know that I tend to get a little crazy when it comes to like what my ratings are. But this past year and this year as well, I decided to keep it kind of basic. I really didn't want to make it too exaggerative or complicated on how I rate books, so I kept it super simple. But here you can kind of see I'm using stickers. These stickers are also from Wrong Wrong. It's actually like a washi tape roll that has all of the stickers that were in the book, but a little bit bigger. And on the left hand side, I'm going to do my rating, and it's just basically going to say like what every rating is from 5 to 1 and what I give each rating. You know, as I finish a book, I try to keep it super simple because that way it's easier for me to kind of like determine what each book is. If it's a 5-star, if it's a 4-star, just makes it easier. Last year I did this in black, but this year I wanted to do it a little bit more lighter to kind of match the theme. I ended up using this like muted blue color that matches the marker I used for my stars. I had to like really scrub clean my star stamp because it was so black. And then on the right hand side, I'm writing Reading Journal 2025, similar to what I did last year. You'll see as I go through my journal that things kind of change. Nothing is like 100%, in stone. I end up adding more details, more stickers as we go through it, and you'll see it in the end. But this is what the first 2 pages look like. Moving on to my next page. My next few pages are actually going to be my index. I'm going to be doing 5 pages this year instead of, I think I did 4 last year or 3, I don't remember. I'm going to use these stamps. I love how cute they look. I feel like they're the perfect balance of just like organized, but also a little bit like playful. I don't know how to explain it. And then I'm going to use this Tombow dual pen to kind of just like highlight the different every other line. I use this washi tape on the sides to kind of keep it kind of crisp and clean, even though the lines came out a little bit wonky for some of them, but that's okay. And then the bottom of each of them, I am going to do like a cute little decorative page, again with my stickers. I use this other sticker pack called Whispering something. I don't know. I'll have it in the description below. But I loved these as well. Similar vibes, but a little bit warmer than the other one. And this is what the pages all look like. The next page is my reading challenge tracker, and this one was probably the most tedious of all because it was a lot of small squares. Last year I had 75 books in this spread, but this year I want to increase my reading challenge to 100 books, similar to what I did in 2022 and in 2023. So here I am just writing down all of the numbers, and as you can see, it takes up the whole page, so not a lot of room for decoration, but that's okay because honestly it just makes it a lot more easier. The idea with this one is just filling in the numbers as I read each book. I tend to do like a different color for each month, not necessarily based on the rating, but this is just basically what it looks like. next pages, I am going to be doing my book buying ban page and then my book buying exceptions page. So here I am just checking off the things I've already done and kind of just like making sure that I'm on track. But for this one, I ended up following a similar format as my reading journal challenge. I wanted to do 52 weeks. I ended up with 56, I think, or 54 because I can't count. So I ended up blocking like the last two at the bottom. Similar to my reading challenge tracker, this one I am going to be highlighting every single box for the week that I don't buy a new book. Easier said than done, but I wanted to have this in my journal this year because if you didn't know already, I am going on a book buying ban. My TBR is way too big, and I just can't afford to continue to spend money on books when I have so many I haven't read yet. And because I am human and I'm not perfect and I don't ever expect to be, I decided I wanted to do a book buying exceptions page as well, where I'm going to be very specific about which books I will not be including in the book buying ban. So most of them are just sequels to other books that I have already read and I had been anticipating before I went on this ban. Others are things I've already pre-ordered and I'm just waiting for them to come in, something like that. But overall, it was only 12 books, which I know only 12, but 12 books in the whole year, one per month. It's not too bad. And like I said, they're books that I already had like expectations that I was going to buy. So I left myself that little courtesy and that little room, making this challenge, this book buying ban challenge, a little bit easier and more, doable, just because of course it's hard to just like go cold turkey any Target trip or Barnes and Noble trip or any trip to any store, because nowadays I feel like every single store sells books. It's really hard to just not buy a book, at least for me. And that is it. That completes my book buying ban and my book buying exceptions page. I really like how it turned out. I feel like I left enough room for myself, and that way I'll be able to kind of just like go through everything and hopefully be successful in my book buying ban. For the next page, the next two pages actually, I'm gonna have a purchased books section, and I'm also gonna have a gifted arcs section. And I haven't decided if that's going to include gifted arcs that are ebooks or not, but for now I just want to have a space to put all of those things in. It will most likely be physical ones because they're the ones that take up a lot more space, but we will see what I do. Overall, I think this page was the most simplest of all. I just left some room for the books that I'm going to write, and I created some columns for the title, the author, and for the gifted one I also included the publisher and when it's going to be released as well. Very simple. My next page is going to be one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorites, but my 25 books of 2025 is definitely one of the most satisfying. I have 25 books that I plan to read this year, and honestly, every single year I've ever done this spread, I have always failed. Like, to the point where maybe half of them I haven't read. So this year I'm gonna have a plan. I'm gonna try to read at least 2 to 3 books in this specific book, or in this specific section, and honestly, hopefully I will get there, but if not, I'm not gonna be mad at myself. I'm just gonna do what I can. This one was a little tricky to lay out because last year it was very satisfying because it was 24 books and I could just put 12 per page, but in this one it's a little bit more complicated since there's one additional one. I ended up just putting it right on the corner, and I think it came out pretty good. In my last version of this, there is a lot more decoration, trust me, this page is not complete, but for right now, I am going to move on to the next page. So in the next page, I have that also uncomfortable page, so I ended up taping it up. You already know the drill. And we can officially move on to the next page. This will honestly be a little bit more easier for me to go through because I feel like I did this exact same thing last year as well in the same place. And this is my series to finish this year. I, again, fail at this every single year because I don't ever complete every single series that I put on this list, but I am gonna still set myself up for success and put the ones that I'm heavily anticipating. There's only one that's on this list that I decided that I had already started, so hopefully I get through it, but you know, it is what it is. And then on this other section, I'm doing my daily reading. I like how it came out last year. I feel like it was a lot more doable. The ones that I had done the year before were very colorful and a little bit confusing, so I decided to just keep the same format as last year. I'm basically going to highlight every single day that I read in a grayish pen and, you know, just call it a day. I feel like it's so nice to look at the end of the year because I can see how often I read every single day, and it makes a huge difference. You know, you feel like you're not reading a lot, and then all of a sudden you see that you read like more than 50% of the year, which makes a huge difference on my attitude. I feel like this next page is one of my most favorite pages, but it's also the one that's probably the least satisfactory to finish. It is my bookshelfie. And with this one, I basically do a shelf with 3 shelves. Each shelf has about 10 spaces in it, and I end up using one space all around, including in the middle section. So that way I have the most space in between each section. This year I decided to use like a goldish, kind of like brownish pen for the bookshelf. Last year it was black. This year I wanted something a little bit different, something that felt different and felt like I was going to feel a little bit more like this is a new year as opposed to, you know, sticking with the same colors. After I finished, I noticed it needed to be outlined a little bit, so I used my Tech liquid black pen around it, and now it's time for stamps. This part is surprisingly tedious because you want to get the right amount of books, but then you also don't want it to look awkward, and sometimes you get like weird spaces between them, but you know, it's okay. I ended up doing enough for 107 books, so still fitting in with the theme. And then this year I wanted to make it a little bit more fun, so I wanted the background to have like this like light gray color that I feel like will match the aesthetic of the stickers and the book that I had in mind. This process was a lot more tedious than I thought, especially because the marker that I used for the shelf itself kept bleeding into the background as well. So moving forward, I'll probably do the background first and then stick to the other one. But then here comes the fun part. I added stickers all around all the like random spaces that were left. I really don't care if it doesn't match or make sense. I just put it wherever it fits. And honestly, once all the books are in there, it's cute. All done with that one. So now on to the next page. This is going to be my monthly statistics. I did this last year and I really liked it because you can kind of just see your statistics month to month, compare them, and it makes a lot more sense to see it that way as opposed to having them at the end of every single month because you can't really compare them. And I think that this one is one of my favorite also because I get to see how many pages I do each year as well. I ended up keeping the exact same format as last year where I do the 6 months in each section, and I use this different type of stamp instead of like the lowercase stamp. I use this higher case stamp, and I love how it turned out as well. For the top, I used the lowercase stamp again, and then I decided to highlight the top of each section as well. I did this exact same thing last year too, so it makes sense. Then I put pages, the average rate for each book, then I put the genre, and then I put the number of books for each section. And then afterwards I added some cute little decor, just little things right here and there. I don't think it really needed it though, to be honest with you, but I was happy how that turned out. For my next page, I'm going to be doing my genre tracker and then my final monthly title page before I get started on my monthly reviews. And this one, I like how I did it last year, because every year before last year, I had 2 pages and it was like this whole thing, and I always ran out of space no matter how many spaces I gave for each one. But this one's kind of impossible for me to run out of space because it's just a large amount, and I like to keep track of the genres regardless of how many books. So even if one book has mystery and romance, I will check off history and romance for each section, and this kind of chart allows me the ability to do that. Then on the right hand side, I'm going to be doing a title page for my monthly reviews. I was super cautious with this one this year because last year I didn't leave enough space to write monthly reviews, and it just looked so wonky and slanted and honestly not my favorite. So when I finished this one, I realized I'm going to just be a little creative with it. So I ended up writing monthly reviews 2 or 3 times on it.